and welcome to another video. This filming session was not planned and I actually don't have much time, but I was really feeling like talking about books and I thought what better place than the channel that I created to talk about books. So here I am making a lot of hand gestures and wanting to talk about books with you all. Also, there is a lot of construction site going on in my street, so I apologize if any of that sneaks into the recording. Hopefully not. I'm trying to project my voice into the microphone that is my phone. For those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Marina and I'm what am I? And I'm a storytelling teacher and aspiring author, and I really like talking about books because reading and writing are my favorite hobbies of all time, and hopefully one day writing could be more than that. But unlike most people that I know that are bookworms, I am a very slow reader. I keep mentioning this as well. So I don't really read that many books at the end of the year. I did something recently, which was to go to the library and pick 4 books, and I made it a point to myself for them to be really short novels, because I wanted to read them in one sit. The first one of them lasted like 2 weeks. I am a tremendously slow reader, but I'm okay with that because I really like enjoying the prose. I really like enjoying the metaphors. I really like taking it slowly, and that is why I am slow. I don't think I am capable of like skimming through a book, but I don't really find any point in that because I feel like it's a bit of a waste of my time and it's a bit of a waste of a book for me, because I don't really process the information if I read it that quickly. I know that there are a lot of people who read like 300-page books in a couple of days. Never done that. Probably once or twice when I was young and had no concerns about anything in the world. I don't think I could do it now. And sadly, today I don't have, these are props except for one of them. None of these are the books that I've read, because I realized that I read most of them on my tablet or in my e-reader, and so I can't really show you the book, but I figured they were gonna look cuter on a thumbnail than just me holding a tablet or an e-reader. Books are just prettier than devices, don't you think? So we're going to put these ones aside, except for one of them, because I'm not going to be talking about these books in particular. Sorry if you felt tricked or something. I hope you didn't. The first book that I want to talk about today is called Discontentment. No. It's called Discontent, and it's by Beatriz Serrano, who is a Spanish writer, and I read the book in Spanish, but there are 33 editions on Goodreads, so I'm sure you can find it in some language. I'm seeing here that it's in English, in Portuguese, Hungarian, Dutch, French, Arabic, German. It's been translated in many languages, and that actually makes me super happy because I think this author is very, very talented. I'm pretty sure this was her debut author, and then shortly after, her second novel was a finalist in a giant literary award that we have in Spain. Hopefully one day I might win, if I really try. No, I'm not. Before she wrote books, she was a journalist, and I think you can really tell in the style that's very snappy, it's very direct, it's not very flowery, it's contemporary. And if you're wondering what this is about, this is exactly about what the title describes. It's about the discontent of a woman in her 30s who has basically done everything correctly in life and is deeply dissatisfied with the life that she has right now. She has an easy job, she has a boring set of co-workers that she gets nothing from, and she doesn't like them much. She doesn't like her job, even though it's an okay job, and a lot of people would really like to have something like that. But she feels numb, she feels empty, she feels like life doesn't have much to offer. And she basically uses drugs and medication to survive daily routine. And there's a few secrets that we're going to discover about her and about her life and her past. And I think the best thing about this novel is how quick it is, how good it is at introducing you characters that you might have only known for 2 pages, but you immediately know what kind of person that is, especially with the co-workers. It's hilarious, and at the same time it's devastating. It's written in a very lighthearted way, but at the same time it touches a lot of very deep themes and a lot of topics that you would probably be able to empathize with. If you are a millennial woman, if you ever worked in corporate environments, and or if you've been feeling a little meh in the last few years due to everything that's been going on and like the evolution of social media and the way it's been like isolating everyone and the way that technology has transformed our lives. It doesn't really talk about any of those things in particular. It just focuses on her life and her dissatisfaction with it. But I think it does a really good job of portraying this, like, the things about a contemporary person's life that make it just a bit bleak, and somehow it's a really funny book, even though it touches on all of this kind of dark, pessimistic things. And I think it has one of the best endings. I think the ending is absolutely fucking genius. It's really funny. It's really it's bizarre, but believable, and I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to create like expectation spoilers, but I think I really recommend this one. It's a very quick read. It's like about 200 pages or less. It's really, really worth it, and if you've been a bit stuck for a while, I think it's very accessible. It's a great book to just pick up and devour. Second one, you might have heard about something called Wuthering Heights by Emily Brontë. I don't even know where to start. I read it with the book club at Christiane Jones's Discord server, and I've been wanting to read this book for the longest time. It's one of those like eternal classics that everybody talks about, and it seems like everyone but you has read it. And then the movie came out, and then it was part of like the general conversation, so it felt like the perfect time. I hated it. I don't know. I kind of loved it. I hated the experience of reading it. I didn't enjoy reading it. Every day I was like dreading the moment that I was going to sit down and start reading. And I don't think if I hadn't had like not the pressure, but like the push from reading it with a book club, I probably would have just ditched it. What a strange book, and I think the strangest thing is how prominent it is in the history of literature. And I understand. I know why. It's a crazy book. So in case you have never heard about this book or never looked up the blurb or anything like that, this is the story about a family that lives in a house called Wuthering Heights, and how their lives change when the dad of the family brings in a stray kid or like an abandoned child that he finds in the street. His identity is never really revealed, but his name is Heathcliff, and how it affects the dynamics of the family, and how the violence and the trauma cause a series of consequences that will last for generations. Is it a love story? The key question about this book, I think it is a love story. It's an insanely toxic, horribly violent, traumatic kind of love story. I think there is love there. I think love sometimes is not the way it should be. Every love story is different. Every relationship between two people or more people is different. I don't want to spoil anything, if you can even spoil this book at this point, but I don't think the love story between those two characters is a good one. That does not mean it's not love. I just don't think it's aspirational love. I think if you see yourself or you end up in a situation like that, probably run. Probably stop it. Really don't do love that way. I think it teaches you a lot about the nature of humans and how we react to our environment, to revenge, to holding grudges for way too long, and how some people are so connected that it turns into something absolutely unhealthy and destructive for both of them. Don't be connected in that way. Not that I have any kind of right to tell you how to love, but just don't do it like they do it. I'm happy I read it. I hated almost every page of it. There's some parts of it that are beautifully written. I think the Spanish translation that I read was pretty bad, because a lot of it felt very unnatural. It didn't feel like the sentences make that much sense. So that might have made the experience a bit worse. But yeah, I think worth a read, and then I don't think I will ever reread it. I think that was enough insanity for a whole lifetime. I also read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, finally, because I had been hearing about this book for the longest time, and lucky for me, I had only heard the name and the author's name, and that it was fantastic, and I think it is in every sense of the way. I found it really difficult to get into this book because the first few pages are incredibly confusing, or they felt very confusing to me. It's a lot of imagery, and it was not the kind of imagery that I could evoke easily in my brain, so it took a second for me to like understand the space and understand the structure of the novel, which is a particular one that I don't want to reveal. So the main character of this novel, that is also a pretty short one, is a man called Piranesi, and he lives in a house where we don't know much about. It's a big house with many rooms, and the tides have a big impact in the way he lives. I really just don't want to reveal anything else, because I was very happy when I read it that I didn't know anything, because it's a very magical, it's super evocative, it's very profound, it's dark, it's funny, it's beautiful. And I haven't read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I know that everybody who's read that book, or most people have read it, even though it's like a behemoth, it's like gigantic, are huge fans of Susanna Clarke. And I read a little bit about her and about her like personal story. If you're curious, I would recommend that you look it up. She's given a couple of interviews on like her personal struggles and how she ended up writing this book after the success of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and it's super interesting. I just don't want to keep you here for too long because I have a couple more books that I want to talk about, but I strongly recommend this book. It's beautiful, it's short, and it's just magical. Something really random comes next. This is called Beyond the Wand: The Magic and Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard by Tom Felton. If you don't know who Tom Felton is, you surely know who Draco Malfoy is. He's Harry Potter's unforgettable antagonist in school, the bleach hair bully that tries to make his life a living hell when he's in Hogwarts. And Tom Felton is the actor that played him for all of the years that the movies went on for. And this is his autobiography. I was very curious about it back when it came out because I didn't know much about Tom Felton other than as an actor. All I knew about him was Draco. It took me so long to read this book, but mainly because I was reading it at bedtime, because it was, how do I say this? For a book to be a good bedtime book for me, it has to be interesting enough that I look forward to reading it, but not so engaging that it keeps me awake. Maybe this is very obvious, I don't know, but I find it hard to find books that fit that exact sweet spot. This was one of them, because I was interested. I am a fan of Harry Potter. I grew up with the books and the movies, and a lot of it are anecdotes and little details and fun facts about the rest of the cast, the studio, the production, the sets, and everything. And you do learn a few things about that. That being said, it all sounded like he was trying to be nice to everyone. I'm not doubting that everyone was nice and that they deserve all these compliments, but it kind of feels a little safe, I guess, in the way that all you keep reading in this book is how Emma Watson is lovely and Robbie Coltrane was the most amazing person and Richard Harris was only there for a little bit, but he was a magnificent human being and actor. And yeah, sure, I totally understand that, but there's not really much more than that, which we kind of already knew from the movies. And if you've seen 2 interviews, you already know. And then when it gets to, in my opinion, the most interesting part, which is knowing Tom for real, the person behind the wand, the person it's kind of when the book is about to end. So you don't get that much of it. And so overall, it was an okay book. I still find it quite weird when people in their 30s write an autobiography. I know that some people have had extremely interesting lives by that time, and this is probably an example of someone who has, because he spent his childhood and his teenage years in the Harry Potter filming set. But I kind of always feel like the content of the autobiography would be a lot better if they wrote it at 70 or 80, because then they would have more perspective and there would be more of a story to it, I guess. But oh well, I never picked up this book thinking that it was going to be life-changing or the biggest masterpiece. It was alright. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandanna. This is a very silly, cute, and wholesome book, and I really enjoyed it because of two reasons. The first one is that I read it with my friends, and the second one is that it's full of adorable characters with an adorable dynamic. It's like the idea of a cozy found family style kind of book. I had already read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. That is a hell of a tongue twist for me, for a Spanish brain. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by the same author, and I really enjoyed that one. Maybe I enjoyed it a tad bit more than this one. I think there's a few things that I didn't love about this new one, about A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. The main one being that things just seem to resolve constantly in like a very easy way without much of an arc. The best part about it, on the other hand, I think are the characters' relationships, like the relationship between each others and how those ones evolve. But like each person's personal conflict, I think it could have been a little bit more elaborate. I think I would have given it another couple of rounds of editing, because I believe this author can do it better than that, because I think she did in the previous book that I'm going to try and say the title of again, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I think she has a talent for creating believable characters that feel very unique and flawed but lovable, and I think everyone except for the villains is very lovable in her books, and it feels like a safe, happy place to take shelter in if you had a bad day or you're going through a rough time in your life. So I always recommend these kinds of books because I believe that there is a book for every kind of situation, and if you are in need of a hug, I think there should be books that just hug you without any further intentions. Like, they don't need to shake your world or anything like that. I think it's fine if sometimes things are just nice, and I really appreciate that this kind of book exists, and I really appreciate when they are well written. That being said, I did not like the first chapter or two. It's kind of like a flashback when we meet the main character when she's a teenager and she does something that has consequences for the rest of the book. I thought that was written in a bit of a clumsy way, and I didn't love it. It felt like it was not very polished. The rest of the book was pretty alright in that regard. It's not a complicated thing. If you're into wholesome, cute books about found family, go for it. I didn't tell you what it's about. There's this witch called Sarah who lives in our real world, more or less, and she is the innkeeper of this place that is kind of falling apart, and she has her little found family in there. When she was a teenager, she had to resurrect someone who was very important to her and very close to her, and that meant that she lost her powers, which was particularly important considering that she was one of the two most powerful witches in the whole of, I think, Great Britain. And then things happen. There's love, there's found family, there is getting over traumas. There's a couple of neurodivergent characters that I've been told by someone who knows more than me about this are really well talked about, and with a lot of sensitivity and a lot of heart. So I definitely recommend it. It's cute and it's fun. Last but not least, the one that I do have a physical copy of. I actually don't have it because it's from the local library. It's this one right here, and it's called Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta by Stephanie Vaughn. So this was part of my adventure in the library, where I just went and strolled around and looked for this sticker that means that the library recommends this book to you. And I picked up 4, like this one, and 3 more. Hopefully I'll tell you more about the other 3 in the next recap video. And this was awesome. It's pretty thin, as you can see. I think it has 185 pages. The style of this lady is incredible. It's super direct, it's very colloquial, and I think that's kind of my thing. I never really stop and think about it because most times I like all styles. I tend to like everything that falls in my hands and I can read. But I really like it when people are capable of saying something very poetic but in a very plain language. I think that's super difficult to do, and it hits really hard when you're just reading like a normal conversation or normal description, and then there's like a tiny bit that comes out of nowhere, and it's incredibly deep and complex, and it just hits the right spot, like the perfect metaphor. This one is full of those. This is about the life of a woman who was the daughter of general. I think he's a general in the US Army, but I don't remember if he's a general or not. And so I think it's loosely based in her real life and how her family and her had to move around the world a lot because of her dad being sent to different military locations during those years and during her childhood. And it talks about how that upbringing and the personality of her dad impacted her and the woman she becomes when she's older. When you say it like that, it sounds really deep and serious. It's really, really funny. I laughed a lot with this book. It's also deeply sad at points, and I think that's just the best kind of book, and that's the best kind of movies and stories. The ones that could make you laugh and cry with only a few paragraphs in between. It's incredibly difficult to achieve something like that, and I think this little guy does it perfectly. I mean, the little guy as being the book, the woman, the grown-up woman who wrote it being Stephanie Vaughn. Incredible job. And because I didn't know anything about this book and I just randomly found it in the library, maybe it's a very famous book and I'm just an ignorant, but I didn't know it. So it has this beautiful quality of a find, of a hidden gem, and I'm just very happy that I picked it up because I really, really enjoyed reading it, and I totally recommend it because it's also really short, and I think if you are a little bit faster than me at reading, you can read it in one sit. So that's all the books I've read so far. I think we are in April. Yeah, it's April at the moment. So I hope you enjoyed this little recap of books that I've read this year, and I will keep you updated with the next few that I read, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Please let me know if you have any recommendations of anything that you've read so far this year or last year or whenever you want, but also I would love to know, what's your best read of the year so far, or if there's anything that you're looking forward to read. Maybe I'll join you in that because, I'm free. I can read whatever I want. Lately, I've been trying to not buy so many books because I have so many unread books in my shelves. So I've been using the library a lot and also the virtual library because they're both brilliant and they're the best inventions in the history of humanity. And I will continue to do that because that's like endless books for you for free. And how amazing is that? As always, it was lovely having you here, and I will see you next time.